When did I know things have shifted for the Kings? Oh, that's a great question. Was it Orlando?
I mean,
I mean, they were down 20 in that game. That's a good question to put out to everybody. When did you start feeling this Sacramento Kings team? When did you start feeling, yo, this team's legit. They're going to the playoffs. This team's legit. They're going to exceed our expectations. What game was it?
for me, off the top of my head, the first one I think about is the Cleveland game at home. 127, 120 victory. Where and that only, I mean, am I looking at this correctly? Yeah, that's kind of crazy for me to say that. But I did feel great about them. That only took them to 4-6.
How about
I was like, yo, I love what I'm seeing from the squad.
Okay. I got mine. And I bet is it December 30th? I don't know that we could, but
that was the one. A lot of people say that.
It was the one. That was the one Monty McNair pointed to.
Yeah.
But do you remember what happened before? I think you're looking at it.
Before
the Utah game.
I didn't see what was going on before. What happened before?
The Denver game. They had those two games against Denver that were really close, and they beat Denver by a single point.
Yeah. They came back from 20 in that Denver game.
Beat the Jet after being wasn't that the game before they were up 20, and blew it. Came back being down 20, and then had the pop heard round Sacramento when Kevin Huerter
broke the microphone.
When they swing pass over to Keegan Murray, swing over to Kevin Huerter, and the shot that ripped the roof off.
Yeah. I mean that was that Utah game. That's an all-timer. I was thinking about like
they lost 3 of the next 4 after that, and then went on a win streak.
Well, after my Cleveland game, I think they lost another 1 or 2.
Man, so you mentioned Cleveland at home. That Cleveland on the road.
That was actually the Cleveland game was actually the start of the 7-game winning streak. I didn't realize.
And that was at home.
Yeah, they were 4-6, and yeah.
What day? Man, was that in December too? Oh, it was December. So that was before. That December 9th game against Cleveland that had that crazy, that insane
finish.
end. Yeah,
that was nuts.
That was a 27-15 fourth quarter, and all those points for Sacramento came at the end.
Got them to 14-10. The Jazz game is pretty. That's a pretty good one. I wouldn't say that.
Again, it's just funny that they lost 3 of their next 4.
I wouldn't say that like I watched, the Cavs game or the one at home, or another one that stood out to me, the Detroit game was pretty big.
Detroit here,
because they were trailing Detroit. Kevin Knox was just going crazy.
Derogatory remarks towards Marvin Sr.
That
was an all-time tweet
on Tuesday night. Somebody might find themselves in the same category. I remember everything that was said around here. I ain't even gonna say no names, so I need to. But
can you believe that dude once did like skipped out on our show?
He did it twice.
He did it twice?
It was twice.
Bitch, you're Brian Scalabrine.
Exactly.
Take this money you're getting paid to appear on a radio show and keep it moving.
We've been good ever since.
See, that's why you can't take these people serious. When that dude was running around telling people Carol Lawson's going to be the next coach of the Celtics, I'm like, you idiot. Like, why do people even believe guys like this? That dude's just out there saying stuff.
Saying whatever.
That dude had to call and apologize
Harrison
for that.
Barnes was almost a Celtic too, according to Scalabrine.
Who did?
Harrison Barnes was almost a Celtic, according to Scalabrine.
I remember that one.
I can tell you with 1,000% certainty Harrison Barnes was never almost a Celtic. He absolutely was not.
Yeah, man. But I remember what he had to say at the end of that first game against Boston. Yeah, all right, B. All right, we'll see what happens. Don't let them win tomorrow. Don't let the Kings win tomorrow. I remember it though. But that Detroit game, I remember that being crazy. It was a crazy finish. It wasn't a Utah level pop, but I remember that's when Harrison
Well,
dunked and yelled.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
And then the Kings had taken like a 1-point lead, and there was like a reject pick and roll, pocket pass to Fox. Sabonis gets in the middle of the court, hits Herder over in the corner, and he hit the 3 to put him up 4, and the place erupted.
You know, speaking of dunks, I'll mention these two things. You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM, West Sacramento 98.5, FM KRXQ HD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, always live on the free Odyssey app. If you want to be a part of the show, phone lines are open for you, 916-909-1320. You talk about Harrison Barnes in the dunk in that game against Detroit. Saturday, Kings up 4, lead had shrunk. Ball inbounded to it's like 50, 55, 51. You know where I'm going. Ball inbounded to De'Aaron. De'Aaron just runs the ball up the floor. No one can stop him. It's something that probably 3-4 players in the entire league can do. Takes the ball off the inbounds, just runs up the floor, coast to coast, dunks it, and just gets back on defense.
And here's
no resistance. No, it couldn't like it was too late. Yeah. Once he decided the second he touched the ball, I'm going to the basket at this exact moment. The second he decided that, it was too late for Washington to do anything.
And here's the thing is,
that might be a 1 of 1. I might be giving the league too much credit. That might be a 1 of 1 character trait.
Maybe.
Like I'm immediately trying to think of, like Russ used to do it. I don't think Russ is doing that now.
John Wall used to be able to do that.
We're hitting the used tos though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, some would say Ja.
Okay,
I'll give you Ja, but I mean,
Ja ruled out tonight. By the way,
yeah.
Today was the end of the whatever. Ja's ruled out tonight.
Yeah. And even if you find 1-2 people, it's still like 3 people that can do it in the league, right? Yeah. It's not like this is something that's common around the league. And here's the thing: you think that's going to stop in the playoffs? You think it is until you see why that actually happens. Number one, it happens because he's the fastest guy in the league.
Yeah.
And then number 2, it happens because what you going to do if you're a defense? You're going to collapse, and a willing passer like Fox is going to kick out to a wide open Keegan Murray or Kevin Herter, and you're going to let that happen, or Malik Monk, Trey Lyles. Like there are basketball reasons why that happens that aren't going to change. You're going to have to make a decision, and usually the decision is going to be, we'll give up the 2, but not the 3. That's usually what it's going to be. So Fox is going to do that again when he wants to. Was somebody going to foul him and hit him on and take him to the ground? They don't even play like that no more. They don't play like that no more.
I'm still trying to figure out if the Nuggets and Jazz back-to-back is where I was really all in. And I think it is.
That Jazz game was an all-timer. I guess I was trying to think about, and we'll talk about it, when the season is over, because the Kings will have some time before they play a playoff
There'll
game.
Be playing games going on. Imagine.
They'll have some time, and it's like, we'll sit back and we'll be like, yo, what was some of your favorite games, your favorite moments of the season?
Yeah.
And that Jazz game is absolutely probably top 3, top 4.
It's got to be up there. Just like immediately the Denver game is up there. That Jazz game is up there. The Cleveland game is up there. Hell, the Houston game is up there. Yeah, I think they won that game by 1.
Yeah.
They needed all those free throws at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, De'Aaron's. Yeah, we're not even mentioning the game. We're mentioning the game that Kevin Herter beat the Jazz, but not the one that De'Aaron Fox beat the Jazz. You got 3 games that De'Aaron Fox won at or near the buzzer. Man, what a memorable season it's been.
It really has been. And it's gotten to the point where I was thinking about this today as I was putting lotion on, getting ready for the show.
I don't know why that was an important
I like to have my hands lotion.
But why was that important to the story?
Because I'm giving you guys a setting of when I was thinking about it. It wasn't like, I'm just sitting there trying to manufacture something. I was just literally thinking about the Kings as I get, the Ashley part in where Domantas Sabonis' thumb is broken.
Yeah.
Like I try to get.
I think they tried to break the other one on Saturday.
Come on, man. Hey, man.
They were trying to take. I think I audibly yelled, "Can we just take him out?" Like they were attempting to kill him in the nation's capital.
Yeah, I don't like that, dog. I don't like that.
He got roughed up in that game.
But sitting there thinking, I was like,
last
go
thing.
ahead. No.
Brad was a sucker for that one. He shoulder tackled Domas. That was trash. Brad ain't that. That's not Brad. That's not the player Bradley Beal is. Not even close.
It's frustration. You can't stop these.
But that stuff gets people hurt. Like, that was a trash play.
Yeah. Was that? I can't remember. Was that the same one when man, I really like Domas. Domas, like, if you pay attention to Domas don't be playing around sometimes, bro. You don't be playing around. Was that the same one where Terrence Davis tried to do the fake CPR?
Yes, it was that one. Yeah, it was that one. Yeah, Domas was not amused by that. I kind of like the fact that if you pay attention to Domas, like, he don't play around, man. I don't know. That might not be it. Domas was on the ground so many freaking times in that game. It might not have been. But I know exactly what play you're talking about.
Don't F around, bro. He don't be playing around. And I love it, man.
And I love that Terrence was still laughing.
Terrence had a tweet because somebody, I think like NBC's California was like, yeah, Sabonis didn't want anything to do with Terrence Davis, like laughing emoji or whatever. And Terrence like retweeted. He's like, damn, big dog, I thought you couldn't breathe. I was trying to. Yeah, man. I like the Sabonis don't be playing around, man. But so I was thinking about this season.
Why you putting the lotion on you?
I was putting lotion. I was trying to get, in between the thumb and the fingers. I hate when that's ashy. That's just nasty. But I was like, this season, I would probably never say this if I was Mike Brown, if I was a coach, but I can look at this from the outside looking in. This season, all disappointment is gone. I don't think there's anything that can disappoint at this point. You could be upset. When the season ends, whether that's in the championship, conference finals, second round, first round, whatever, that's going to be upsetting because we don't want it to end. This is one of the great seasons. For me personally, as a fan of different teams, one of the great seasons I've ever been through.
Yeah.
Absolutely one of the most memorable, great seasons, like Giants 2010, Niners seasons, one of the great seasons I've ever experienced. So you'll be upset when it ends, but when you talk about disappointment, early on it was disappointment if they didn't at least make the play-in when the season started. Like, at least they've jumped that hurdle. Then they started to get good, and it'd be disappointing if they ended up like Cleveland last year, where they started off so well, then faltered, got into the play-in, and then lost, and there was no postseason. Kind of got past that. Then it got to, it'd be disappointing if they fell out of the top 6. And even if they made the playoffs, like having to go through the play-in, nobody wants to do that. That'd be a little disappointing.
Here's a deep cut for some of you. This team will not be last year's Cleveland Cavaliers.
They will not be.
They will. We don't have to worry about how we would feel about that. This team will not be last year's Cleveland Cavaliers.
So then they're playing well. They get in the top 3, whatever. Man, it'd be a disappointment if they fell and got to the top 6 and lost home court. That's out the window.
Yeah.
They're going to be home court. So now you're at a situation where, like, let's just say at this point, worst case scenario, they make the playoffs and they lose in the first round. Once again, will be upsetting. But can you look at this team and say...
And you're talking about purely from a fan perspective.
Purely from a fan perspective. Because like I said, I wouldn't say this if I was Mike Brown, if I was a player.
Because there's no way Mike and those guys in that locker room.
Mike and those guys in the locker room are thinking we can win an NBA championship. That's right. Legitimately believing that. Yeah. It's not like...
And they're not wrong.
No, they are 100%.
They can absolutely represent the West. I feel like I can say that and not even feel weird about it.
Yeah.
They can win the Western Conference Finals. They could be in the NBA Finals. It'd take a lot of work for me to say that the Kings can beat the Bucks, the 76ers, or the Celtics in 7 games.
Yeah.
But to beat the Nuggets or the Grizzlies or even the Suns or Clippers,
they can get with all them teams.
I think they can.
Because they pose their own problems for everybody.
Yeah.
So, like, as players and coaches and people in that
Eastern
locker room,
Conference teams' problems are bigger.
Those
are big.
They are, but
in every way imaginable. They're bigger.
But I think they pose problems for them too. The Kings pose problems for everybody in the league.
They do.
Now, the problems that those other teams present, we'll see possibly if the Kings can overcome that. But they pose their own problems. But I look at this thing and just as a fan, if they were the worst case scenario, go out in the first round, it's not a disappointing season.
No,
it's not a
not at all.
disappointing season.
No, not at all.
Absolutely not.
Not
Like I
at all.
said, it's upsetting because the ride will be done and we don't want this ride to end. But this team, they lost in the first round. It's not a disappointing season.
No,
we
not
have
at all.
passed the point where there's, to me personally, I guess I'll speak for me. There's no disappointment that could happen this year for this Kings team. They have cleared every hurdle to the point where, like, you're looking back on this season fondly, no matter what.
Sure, I think that's true. I'll play Skip Bayless here for a minute, or debate guy.
Yeah.
What if they're swept first round?
It's upsetting, man, but
not a disappointment.
Not a disappointment. Not for me. For some
think,
people, I could understand how it could be.
Do you think this has nothing to do with us, fan perspective, players, nothing like that? If the Kings lose in the first round, especially being a 2 seed, we'll go with a 2 seed. I think it'll be. I think the question still works if they're a 3 seed, but if they don't win a playoff series, again, this is not from a fan's perspective. Do you think the national perspective changes? If they don't win, are we next year talking 2 national TV games?
Oh
no Christmas Day game.
No, you might not get a Christmas Day
this
game.
team's playing,
but you're getting
NBA
double digit.
NBA would be ridiculous to not put this team on Christmas.
You're good. I'm with you. But if they lost in the first round, you're still getting double digit, maybe in the 20s national TV games. Like I think they're a lock for 15 to 20.
They're for sure winning 2 postseason awards. They might win a 3rd, and I feel like the 3rd is actually a for sure. Like we've made the case for Monty McNair. I feel like there's more of a discussion for executive of the year than there is coach of the year or clutch player of the year. But like I think they're getting 3, and now we're talking about Domas potentially finishing in the top 5 in MVP voting. And I mean, where does Malik Monk finish in the 6th man of the year voting? Like, is he 2nd? Is he 3rd? I doubt he's 1st, but it's not outrageous to think that he could be.